10 Nebenbuhler, die du ausgestochen hast, ganz locker. War das gut, so grundsätzlich? Ei. Das ist der Hammer.
I never meant to cause you any sorrow. I never meant to cause you any pain. I only wanted one time to see you laughing, babe. Only wanna see you laughing, yeah. In the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Purple rain, purple rain. That's alright. Come on, y'all. Purple rain, purple rain. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back to Solar Impulse TV. We hope you enjoyed that small tribute to the artist known as Prince and some of the beautiful footage of Solar Impulse as she was flying over Hawaii. It is a full day since Bertrand Piccard and Solar Impulse took off from Kalaeloa Airport on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, and they're on their way to Moffett Airfield in Mountain View, California, just southeast of San Francisco. Bertrand is doing well. He's actually currently doing some exercises, and he's actually been doing some calls with people like, including Boyan Slat. I bring up Boyan Slat because he is the founder and CEO of the Great Ocean Cleanup, and we are thinking a lot today about the fact that it is Earth Day. It is not only Earth Day, it is also the day that the climate deal struck in Paris last year is being signed in New York. It's actually already been signed. So a very symbolic day in many ways, and we are going to be talking throughout the show about some subjects related to Earth Day and the environment. So we want to actually show you a clip of an interview I did earlier today with Covestra CEO Patrick Thomas. He spoke to me about Covestra's involvement in the Solar Impulse project, and he actually reminded me that many of the products that we've seen on Solar Impulse are actually in use on the ground. Here's a clip from our conversation.
The most important lesson, though, for me is that technology that we have today can solve a lot of our problems today. And I think when I gave the example of the refrigerator, it tells you that the most advanced insulation flying around the world at the moment, protecting Bertrand as he flies right now, is already being used in a refrigerator, saving energy in domestic appliances. This lesson which Bertrand has talked to me many times about, we've got to use the technology we have now. It's not just about researching for the future. We must use what technologies we have now and get them out there and deploy them, because we can already start helping improve the resource efficiency of the planet.
Joining us right as I speak is our flight director for the flight. This is Christoph. Welcome. It's great to have you on the set.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So first of all, tell me let's start with the flight. How's it going so far?
Pretty good. We just reached the point of energy neutral on the second morning. So we collect enough solar energy to maintain level flight. In the next minutes, we start recharging the batteries. Bertrand is happy. As you can see on the screen, he is just doing physical exercises.
Yep.
And the mood is good. Now we are looking forward to a busy morning with the interviews and all the housekeeping.
Yep.
Later on oxygen, back to maximum altitude, and we start again into the mission descent in the night.
Well, I have you here. Why don't you just mentioned it, but maybe explain again energy neutral morning. What does that mean? Because I think some of our viewers are still asking what the meaning of that is.
Well, actually, I think the 24-hour flight profile of Solar Impulse can be separated in two phases.
Yeah.
Phase one is the phase of the day, where we charge the batteries of the aircraft. Mm-hmm. And the batteries we can charge as long as we collect more solar energy from the sun than we use in the engines.
Yeah.
At a certain point in the morning, sun goes up, the solar energy is pretty low, we still need batteries. Then we reach a moment where
Because the sun, it also depends on the angle of the sun.
it's the angle,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the same what you feel when you're at the beach. At the morning at 7 o'clock, you don't need sunscreen and it's still pretty cold. But at noon, you feel the sun on your skin. And it's the same for the aircraft. And then we have a certain point in the morning where the solar power we collect is the same as what we need in the engine. That's energy neutral morning. Then we climb. And in the evening, we have the same, just the opposite way. The sun is setting in the west. The solar power collected is reduced and getting less and less until we are just able to maintain level flight. And thereafter, we start a shallow descent. In the night, it's a different game. In the morning and the day, we load the batteries of the aircraft. In the night, we load the battery of the pilot
Yeah.
because he needs to rest.
Yeah.
So the day we spend on more or less fostering the aircraft. The night we spend on fostering the pilot, giving
Yeah.
him rest, giving him food. Exercises, we still see it now until just this energy neutral in the morning.
And how, I mean, so he just came, I mean, the morning's just started, and he's gone through the night. How did the night go? Is he getting as much rest as he needed? I mean, it's quite this is the longest flight he's ever done, and it's quite a physically challenging thing to be. We have to remind viewers that the size of the Solar Impulse cockpit is a bit like the trunk of a large minivan or something.
Actually, yes.
Or maybe an American refrigerator. A large American refrigerator.
It is. The beginning of the night was a little bit challenging because Bertrand had to find a flight level at which there is no turbulence. Obviously, you cannot sleep if the aircraft is upset by turbulence. And this took some time, took a few tries. It didn't work in the beginning. And also, I can fully understand that when he has 20 minutes of rest, given the fact that it's his first night, he is excited. So it's
Yeah.
not like, okay, I sleep and I wake up again. It's just human. You need to settle in.
Yeah.
And during the second part of the night, we find that layer of calm air, and he settled down, and he was kind of sleeping like a baby. 20 minutes sleep, just waking up, checking 30 seconds, back to sleep. So overall, we were able to collect more than 5 hours of sleeping time for him, which is more than average. We planned with 3.5 hours, he got 5, and that's maybe a reason for his mood being so good.
So over the 3 days and 3 nights that he's going to be flying, approximately 62 hours, how many hours of that is going to be sleep or rest?
It should be at least 3.5 per day.
Okay.
So 3 days will be 10.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's the minimum, and the more we can get, the
10 and
more
a
we
half
take.
hours, though.
In total, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of sometimes over 62 hours. It's not that
not a lot.
it's not a lot of sleep. But I can understand. I mean, even when I was trying to go to sleep last night, it was a little hard. It's
Yeah.
You have the adrenaline and the excitement of what's going on.
And then you wake up before you actually want to.
Yes.
You just
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, other than the takeoff, which was definitely tense and we weren't sure we were going to be able to take off, everything seems to be almost going too smoothly. Do you have any concerns about what's going ahead? Is there the cirrus clouds or anything that we've seen raising concerns?
No, I would say we are aware of a few features of the flight, but we know about them, we take care of them, we monitor them. For the time being, it's all under control. But the fact that we have no technical issues, the fact that everything is running smooth is nothing you get for free.
Yeah.
So, for example, now during the day, we will constantly do minor adjustment of the engine power to make sure that the batteries are completely equal in the way they charge with the right current, keep the batteries happy, which then, of course, results in a nice battery state of charge in the next morning. So it's not that we get that for free. We have to do a lot of little things all the time. It's really like housekeeping. Right now we have about four or five more points to do little things in the next 30 minutes. Then we look forward to interviews. Then again, housekeeping. It's constant work to make the overall picture look very good.
Very good. Tell me about, we haven't actually talked much about the batteries on the show, but the batteries, we have new batteries and a new system to keep them cool, actually.
Between last year and this year, we changed the battery cooling from a passive system to an active system. So passive system simply means you have a body of a certain temperature and you just cool it with isolation. It's like you in the winter, you just take your jacket and by being out, you're just passively cooled. Now, actively cooled, or for the summertime, actively cooled means you are sitting in front of ventilation. Something is actively helping
Blowing
you
air on,
to
you cool down.
blow the air. And we have cooling ducts, which we can control. We can open them, then we have the airflow from the airspeed going in, cooling the batteries, and we can close them at high altitude when the outside air temperature is low. And this is done from the cockpit. So from a passive system to an active now.
So none of the issues that happened last year are likely to crop up this year, basically.
No, we did test flights in Hawaii, and we see now with each cycle that we are really able to control the battery temperature, I would say almost to a level of 1 degree plus or minus. We're able to get that detailed, yeah.
So tell me about the approach to Moffett coming into that airport. What is that going to be like?
I think for Bertrand it will feel a little bit like being home again because he was
Déjà
there in
vu, yeah.
2013, exactly. Same airport, different aircraft.
Yeah.
So, but the difference is that when Bertrand was flying in 2013, it was local flights from Moffett to Moffett. Now he's approaching from all the way in the west, coming
Yeah.
all over the Pacific from Hawaii. And it's more or less a straight arrival from the west. At the moment, we are evaluating the opportunity to make a flyby at the Golden Gate Bridge
do
because
a photo shoot. Yeah,
the
that'd be
timing
great.
is pretty good. We will arrive in
Yeah.
the late afternoon, and we all know that with the sun setting down in the west, this is the famous time where the Golden Gate Bridge is red,
Yep.
the way you liked it for a picture. We are just about to evaluate that,
Yep.
so maybe we can just put it in, which would make everyone happy, and then he will just, from the Golden Gate Bridge, fly down the coast about 15 miles, make a left-hand turn, go over the mountains over Palo Alto,
Yep.
down to Mountain
Silicon
View,
Valley, yeah, the heart
Silicon
of
Valley,
Silicon
cross
Valley.
it.
And actually, Google's one of our sponsors, so
It
our
is.
partner, so that's kind of appropriate in some ways that Solar Impulse is ending up there.
That's the beauty of landing in Moffett, that we are at the home of Google, one of our sponsors, and we liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it's also an incredibly famous airfield as well.
It
so
is.
there's a lot
Moffett
of-
Field has a long-lasting
Long history.
history of NASA and experimental aircraft, and I think it's quite an appropriate airfield for Solar Impulse to start the crossing of the continental US. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you are, we've got so many pilots here at Solar Impulse, and you are a pilot yourself, a commercial pilot. Tell me, like, what, obviously Solar Impulse is not your average airplane, but what's going through a pilot's head as he's sort of preparing and in the cockpit and getting ready what comes as, well, what he has to deal with?
For Solar Impulse, I can imagine that the difference or the difficulty is that you have to prepare yourself on two levels. On one level, you have to prepare like as an average pilot. You have to know your aircraft, you have to know the procedures, abnormalities, emergencies. You think about your departure, your en route, and your landing. But the difference for Solar Impulse is that these phases of the flight are spread over several days. So when I fly in an airliner, I'm usually not thinking about changing my clothes. This is not my concern
Unless you
when
have
I'm
a
in an
dinner date
airliner.
right afterwards or something.
Maybe
but yes.
afterwards, but not during flight. And this is something which is important for Bertrand.
Yeah.
Also, in a commercial airplane, you have your pressurized cabin. You don't have to worry about oxygen, about blood saturation of oxygen. You don't have to worry about your menus, that you have a constant or a good balanced diet.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish the diet would be more balanced in aircraft, but it's not the case. So there's a second level to the pilot preparation which deals with the resting and the long duration.
Yeah, and actually, well, I'll ask you one last question and let you get back to work. Solar Impulse, you've been involved with this project for a long time, and I love to ask the different engineers and people involved, like, what about this airplane do you consider sort of to be, I don't know, what really sort of strikes you as special or particularly interesting about either the engineering or the flying or the human factor of this airplane?
For me personally, it's the human factor. I mean, I'm fascinated by the capabilities of that aircraft, but when I see the aircraft, I look at the fuselage, I look at pieces of the aircraft, and I know the stories behind. I see the propeller with the TITO system. I remember the ground tests we did.
Yeah, which
when
allows it to sort of shift.
Exactly,
Yeah.
kind of like rotate a little bit like a helicopter. I remember the ground tests we did initially when we thought it will do without. It didn't do, so we were testing and testing, and we realized not going to work. I remember the people in Dübendorf, the engineers, doing a redesign within 4 weeks because we were in the middle of the flight test. So I see the airplane and I see stories in little fragments, and I would say, yeah, kind of pieces of my life.
Yes.
That's for me the aircraft. I see stories and people.
Big aviation puzzle, I guess,
Yeah,
sort of.
exactly,
Yeah. Well, Christoph, thank you very much for your time. We'll let you get back to work. We are now, as I said, it is Earth Day, and that is a very symbolic day for Solar Impulse to be in the air. And we've got another clip from you. You may have been watching earlier. I interviewed Boyan Slot, a young Dutch fellow who has started something called the Ocean Cleanup. Many of you are probably familiar with him. And he also chatted with Bertrand earlier. They had a good chat because Solar Impulse is flying over the Great Pacific Ocean Garbage Patch, which some of you also may be familiar with. Here is a short clip from the conversation we had.
So at the Ocean Cleanup, we're developing the first technology to rid the oceans of plastic. So halfway between Hawaii and California, about a third of all plastics of all seas and oceans combined is concentrated in this one very large area. And in the past, people came up with ideas to clean that up, but they were all based on vessels with nets, which would go out and start fishing for plastic. This would, however, take about 79,000 years and many tens of billions of dollars to clean up. So then I wondered, well, these currents, they rotate around, so why would you go through the oceans if the oceans can also move through you? So I came up with this passive system that's basically a long floating structure attached to the seabed, which really acts like an artificial coastline there where there is no coastline, allowing us to intercept the plastic and concentrate it and basically let the ocean clean itself. And using computer models, we've now been able to determine that using one of those systems deployed for 10 years, about half the Great Pacific Garbage Patch can be cleaned up.
Well, there you can see Bertrand, and it looks like he's doing some yoga. We saw him with the stretching string earlier, but I don't know. It looks like maybe we should be doing some of these exercises here in Monaco. I have Wim, one of our excellent meteorologists here to tell me a little bit about the weather. So maybe we can bring up the weather chart. There we go. So Wim, maybe you should explain what's going on here. First of all, I do see the west coast of the U.S., and I do so Hawaii so there we got the orientation. Where is Solar Impulse?
Well, this was a satellite picture of this morning, local morning, 4 p.m. here Monaco time, and at that moment it was still dark, so it's an infrared satellite picture, and Solar Impulse, or Bertrand, was right here. He was really low, 4,000 or 5,000 feet above cloudiness that was beneath the aircraft. And if you look at the picture, it's all white or gray. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of cloudiness, but the good thing is it's beneath the aircraft.
Okay, because Solar Impulse doesn't like clouds.
Yeah, and there is nothing above. The only clouds that are above the aircraft now are these cirrus that are far to the west. But
and maybe tell our viewers who aren't experts in weather, cirrus clouds very high, also usually with a bit of ice in them, is that right?
Yes. They consist of ice crystals. They are very high in the sky, and actually they are also associated with pretty nice weather in front of a disturbance coming in, and they give a white sky with white filaments, and they are disturbing because they block a part of the solar energy that we need to charge the batteries.
So actually it's not, I mean, if you were on the beach, you wouldn't mind them, but for Solar Impulse, it's just a little bit less solar charge that it's getting.
Exactly, yeah, and that is a problem, that is disturbing, so we always try to avoid them. And so for today, the flight he will make towards San Francisco. There will be no cirrus above the aircraft, but they are moving to the east towards San Francisco.
They're sort of following us.
Yes, they are chasing us, and they will catch us up when we arrive in San Francisco. So on the third flight day, we will have some cirrus patches in the sky, but they are not disturbing because they are not so many.
Excellent. Well, and the other thing I was wondering is Solar Impulse is going quite quickly. What does that mean for our estimated time of arrival? Does it mean that we'll be arriving earlier on Saturday than you might expect?
Well, exactly. We are arriving earlier over San Francisco Bay, even at sunrise or before sunset. Sorry,
yeah.
before sunset. But everybody knows in San Francisco that there are always windy conditions over day. So in the evening we will have to wait for the wind to calm down. It will take some time. So expected landing time would be something like midnight, local midnight.
Ah, okay. So, but if you are in the Bay Area and you happen to be around the Golden Gate Bridge at sunset, that you might look up in the sky and see an amazing solar airplane.
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, that sounds like a great image. Well, I think I've covered the main topics. I need to let you get back to work. So thank you very much for your time. The next thing that we are going to show you, again, a reminder that it is Earth Day and the Paris Agreement on climate talks. They're signing that agreement signed that agreement in New York today. So very, very significant in many ways. We're going to show you one more clip. This was done with one of the chairmen at Solvay. His name is Pascal Jouery, and he also was telling me about some of the technologies that they've worked with Solar Impulse and what they are using those technologies with on the ground today.
The short answer is yes, of course. But what are we doing in this plane? We have designed solutions for energy storage and management. We have designed solutions for lightweighting. Of course, it was the number one priority to keep the plane as light as can be. And I'm happy to say that actually what we did for the Solar Impulse batteries are now commercial. And in electric cars today, chances are you will find the Solvay products, whatever the brand or make you buy, for instance. In lightweighting, everything that we did, which is metal replacement, have found their way into the market, whether it is in a car or in a plane. As we speak, we even have a project right now that is about making an engine for a car with only plastics, okay? And that's a dream we could not imagine 12 years ago.
Now, before we wrap up the show, we wanted to give you some more images from the takeoff in Hawaii in case you missed all the excitement yesterday. It was a great, beautiful morning, a little bit tense in the beginning because we weren't sure we were going to be able to take off, but we did, and here is some of the footage. Well, those are images of Bertrand Piccard taking off in Solar Impulse 2 from Kalealoa Airport on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, heading to the west coast of the United States, Moffett Airfield, just southeast of San Francisco in Mountain View, the heart of Silicon Valley. Bertrand Piccard has been flying 1 day and 1 hour. Everything is going very well so far in the flight, which is good news for us, and he is likely to be landing sort of in the late evening San Francisco time or California time at Moffett Airfield. I want to give you a quick update on what else is going to be coming this afternoon. We've got a Facebook Live in about an hour, which is quite fun. If you want to actually ask Bertrand questions in the cockpit, you can do so, so definitely tune in for that. We also are going to be having Ban Ki-moon chatting with Bertrand, and that is going to be happening at 19:30 UTC, which is 21:30 local time. So if you want to hear a chat between two great human beings, tune in for that. That's all for me. See you for the next show.
Just to give you